There's so much I want to catch you up on and talk to you about. I am so excited for 2024 and what life has in store. Fast forward to today, I'm using a new platform to get my message out, and I'm inviting new guests to be on the show, and I'm creating a brand new framework for it, which I'm so excited to share with you. It's called Becoming You, and every guest that comes on my show will have an opportunity to share a pivotal moment in their life, something significant that happened that has really impacted the trajectory their lives are on and has enabled them to discover who they are becoming in this life. When I created Winning Wednesday, it was super innovative at the time. I didn't know hardly anyone making podcasts, definitely not your average Joe making a podcast, or in this case, average Katrina making a podcast. Initially, I was just trying to give people a platform and a space to amplify their voice and make sure their voices were getting heard despite all the noise and confusion and mass caution around how we were going to proceed at that time. Hi, everyone. I am thrilled to be back with you for another season of episodes. Let's start over. Peep the ConnectorQueen mug. This is with the old logo, with the old colors. Since starting my ConnectorQueen brand, I created one logo and I've rebranded ever since. Green is my favorite color. I decided to go with a teal base instead of the pink. And I've really been enjoying it. So I got to get a new mug. But in the meantime, I'm having some mint tea in my ConnectorQueen mug, and it's great. I wanted to hop on here. I'm always hopping. There's so much I want to catch you up on and talk to you about. I am so excited for 2024 and what life has in store. I've had a passion for podcasting, networking, and marketing for such a long time now. And it really evolved so organically in my life because we were caught in a global pandemic. We were completely isolated from one another, and I got creative and was looking for ways to continue networking despite being on lockdown in Jersey City and no longer commuting into Manhattan. And I thought, what better way to connect with people around the world than through the through the digital platform, which at the time was video conferencing. And now, years later, at this point, we've evolved. People are podcasting constantly. It's become such a mainstream way to transmit information that it doesn't seem so courageous or so unique anymore. But I will say, when I created Winning Wednesday, it was super innovative at the time. I didn't know hardly anyone making podcasts, definitely not your average Joe making a podcast, or in this case, average Katrina making a podcast. And I didn't even call it a podcast at the time. It was just kind of a weekly video I put out, and podcasting just became the category it was referred to as. And then I've had several companies and different organizations ask me to help them with their own podcast production. And it's created so many unique opportunities for me career-wise, which I didn't anticipate at the time. Initially, I was just trying to give people a platform and a space to amplify their voice and make sure their voices were getting heard despite all the noise and confusion and mass caution around how we were going to proceed at that time. And then 60 episodes later, I found myself moving from a project management position to a marketing role and not being able to continue with the podcast at the time. And, fast forward to today, I'm using a new platform to get my message out, and I'm inviting new guests to be on the show, and I'm creating a brand new framework for it, which I'm so excited to share with you. It's called Becoming You, and every guest that comes on my show will have an opportunity to share Every guest that comes on my show will have an opportunity to share a pivotal moment in their life, something significant that happened that has really impacted the trajectory that their lives are on and has enabled them to discover who they are becoming in this life. And the process of becoming is an evolutionary process. I realize we are never really arrived at who we are. We're constantly growing, changing, and going through human experiences that create newer and different iterations of ourselves. Who we were last year is different than who we are today. And certainly who we were 10 years ago and 20 years ago is different than who we'll be in 10 years and 20 years, hopefully, provided we live. Not to get morbid right off the bat, but anyone who knows me knows I'm constantly thinking in terms of, hey, I could die at any moment. So how do I want to live my life today? And, what do I want my legacy to be? And even if you don't want to be that grandiose about it, how can I sleep well at night tonight? How can I be authentic to myself and just live in a way that I would be proud of? If this was the last thing I ever did, the last thing I ever said, what would I want that to be? I'm hoping I can share my platform again with you all in a way that allows you, I'm not sure how to say this. I took an original take of this, and of course, the audio didn't save. So I am learning from my mistakes already. And I know that I'll continue to have new opportunities to learn a new platform. Um, Going from Zoom to Riverside, it's definitely different. I'm super excited for this podcasting platform and all the editing features. I didn't have that before, and I know it'll make a huge difference. I really want this series to be professional and crisp and marketable and something that you all are excited to watch, and my guests are excited to share with their networks as well. The idea of becoming you came to me during a walk a couple months ago. I was listening to the Diary of a CEO podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts. I think Stephen does a tremendous job focusing on his guests, making sure that they are spotlighted throughout the interviews, that the questions are pointed and well researched, and that the guests are able to vocalize their story in the way that they want to share it. And that's a similar approach I took with Winning Wednesday. And it's an approach I hope to take with Becoming You as well. I want my guests to join my show with an open heart and be able to share their story profoundly and courageously. And anyone who's listening, I hope that they walk away with new inspiration to live their life in a very authentic and passionate way. We're all on this journey of becoming, of evolving, learning, growing. I know a lot of us are lifelong learners, and I really believe that this content will resonate with you, and it'll be something that I look back on and I'll just be very proud I did. As I mentioned, it's kind of been on my heart for a little bit, and I am just thrilled to finally be pulling the trigger and making this a reality despite any fear or hesitation I may have been feeling. I know putting yourself out there can be a challenge. It can feel scary. It can cause a lot of worry in our heads. But at the end of the day, when you zoom out and you realize we are such a small blip in time, in space, even in our lives, this moment is a very small blip. And how we live it in this moment sets us up for success, for change, for growth, for whatever it is that we want to focus our energies on. It sets us in that direction, which impacts the trajectory of our lives and influences who we become. And that brings me to a great example. A lot of the guests that I've already invited to be on the show, who have agreed to be on the show, there are people that I've known for years, and there are people who have seen me through different iterations of myself and how I've become and transformed over the years. And I am so excited to highlight them in this era that they're currently living through, especially knowing different aspects of them from the past. And it's not to like compare by any means, but it's just so beautiful to be able to see how we are constantly growing, evolving, transforming, and leaning into our unique gifts and talents to leverage them in this world and to continue to learn about ourselves, learn about each other, and share those stories in the hopes that it inspires someone else to take courage in their own lives and live in a way that is authentic to themselves. You, as the listener, I mean, the amount of feedback I've gotten just from my LinkedIn posts alone speak volumes to this craving that a lot of people have for living fearlessly, I think is the best way to put it. And getting to connect with all of you. Oh my gosh, getting to connect with all of you on this virtual platform in this digital environment is such a gift. I think it breaks down so many barriers. I don't even like talking with people wearing sunglasses because I feel like there's so much between us. So text can only convey so much. I'm hoping video takes us one step closer to getting to know each other a little bit better. If you'd like to be on the show, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear your story and see if we're a good fit for each other. Until next time, I got to come up with a catchphrase, but let's see. Until next time, here's to the journey of becoming you. I'll see you soon.